morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, my name is Ann McNeil, and I am the Master Wealth Builder, helping you to build a stronger and better life and business. And I want to welcome you to another episode of Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live. Well, this is the Masterclass. The Masterclass, walking through the principles of Think and Grow Rich. But our focus today is none other than the mastermind principle itself. And if you are here for the first, second, third, or fourth time, I want to ask you, what is a mastermind group to you? What is it? What does it mean? Well, we're going to have that conversation today. And what Napoleon Hill tells us is the fact that a mastermind group should consist of like minded and like spirited individuals. Like minded and like spirited individuals. It is also two more things: economic and psychic in their power. But you should also consider the fact that it is the only other way by which you can procure, connect, and attach yourself to individuals to get education, experience, knowledge, training, and influence. Yes. By having a mastermind of group of accountability, you can have access to other people's influence. Speaking of influence, I'd like to bring on our co hosts and have them introduce themselves as we get this conversation started. So, first, we're going to start with Galen, then Peter, then, of course, Begin. Good morning, Galen.
Good morning. Good morning. I am so excited to be here. My name is Galen Bingham. I am the leadership strategist, CEO of Kill Global Coaching and Consulting. And this is a really, really important concept in the whole Napoleon Hill philosophy. I think because of actually the way it's phrased in the title, it's the power of the mastermind. This is where you get the power from. And one of the things that I'm excited about as I reflect on my own masterminds is that you need to have a group to remind you of some of the key principles that's in this book. One of the key concepts that I'm really, really excited about is the fact that it says that success comes to those who are success minded, and that and who are willing to and able to woo success. And those are the things that I need to be reminded of from time to time, because we all get so focused on doing things and grinding and making this relationship, making this contact, and doing these things. And that's part of it, but that's not where the real power comes from. And so I leverage my mastermind a great deal to remind me of those key concepts that are in this book. So this conversation is going to be about how do you get the best practices from your mastermind group so that it works smoothly, so that everyone is getting the most out of the process that they possibly can as they pursue their own personal goals. So I'm excited to get into this with Peter and with Pagine. Peter, what's going on with you?
Yeah, Galen, this topic right here of mastermind is so near and dear to my heart. And those of you who are still shy with this whole Think and Grow Rich book and haven't picked it up yet, definitely, first of all, pick it up. And then here's the next thing about this Think and Grow Rich philosophy, especially relative to mastermind. This is not a Napoleon Hill thing. This is not a Think and Grow Rich thing. If you think about it, the Bible says, where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them. Right? So even Jesus has spoken about that in the Bible. So many other people realize that Jim Rome says you are the average of your 5 closest friends, right? So there are so many people that realize the advantages of you can't do it alone. And here's the thing, you can do it, but it's so much more important. The levels of success are so much more important when you have others around you, and you'll achieve them faster. You'll be more effective. You'll be more efficient. So surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals who are on the same trajectory is so, so important. I didn't introduce myself. My name is Dr. Peter A. James. I am the high performance coach helping you to shift your mindset. And I'm hoping you can shift your mindset this morning to realize how, as we have this discussion, how and why those who you surround yourself with are going to be important moving forward. I'm getting too deep right now, Pegeen. I want to bring you in and lighten things up for us, if you could.
OMG, you just brought me in at the right and perfect time, because you just tapped into something that I love, and tapped into something that is what Ann first started with. This is all about your economic and your psychic components. I love my Think and Grow Rich, and as you can see, I actually use it. We're not just talking talk. And one big statement here says, every person who has accumulated a great fortune has recognized the existence of this stream of life. It consists of one's thinking process. The positive emotions of thought form the side of the stream which carries one to fortune. Here's why that is so critically important, is if you have ever been thinking in your life, you know that it's really easy. And sometimes you just need to look at a news article, or somebody needs to say something for us to go from this, yeah, I've got it, oh yeah, we're going to, oh, this is not going to happen. Well, I got to tell you something. The mastermind brings you in a way that keeps you focused on your goals, your vision, your determination. And when you hang around people who are on mission, focused, clear, and know what you want and know who you are, there's nothing more powerful than that. And there are paid masterminds, there are free masterminds. I've been in mastermind since I've been 23 years old, and I will tell you, it transformed my life. Now, I want to share something with you that's really important. Mastermind is a part of the 13 principles, but it's not the whole principle. And of course, I have to share who I am. My name is Pegeen. I speak on leadership and business. Mostly, I speak on called to lead, be powerful, be you, and founder of Power Women Worldwide. You could always check out Power Women Worldwide. Let me share something. Masterminds is a part of Think and Grow Rich. There are 13 principles. And if you sit back, take your pen and paper, take your pads, take your notes to really embrace what 13 principles are, listen to this.
Number 1 is desire. Napoleon Hill said that everything starts with a burning desire, a compelling reason for doing what it is we do. Step 2 is faith, having belief in our ability to attain that which we desire. Step 3 is what we call autosuggestion. Autosuggestion simply means being very intentional about the things that we are pouring into our thoughts, into our brains, and into our consciousness. Our brains, our minds will receive everything automatically, but we have to work extra hard to make sure that the positive things are what we are feeding ourselves, because those positive thoughts are going to turn into positive actions. Step number 4 is specialized knowledge. No one person knows everything, even about whatever their particular area of expertise might be. And the value of the mastermind principle is using the specialized knowledge of other people. Step number 5 is imagination, the workshop of the mind. Everything starts with our imagination and our thoughts, the burning desire to transform those thoughts into our reality. In order to do that, we have to take a look at step 6, which is organized planning. That is how we crystallize our desire into action, organizing ourselves. Having the thought and not acting on the thought isn't going to get us anywhere. We have the thought, we go through the organized planning to transform that thought into action. Step number 7 is decision. What Napoleon Hill said is the mastery of procrastination. Napoleon Hill said that the antidote to procrastination is simply to make a decision and then move on that decision. Step 8 is persistence. We have to have a sustained effort which is induced by our faith in order to achieve our goals. One of Napoleon Hill's books I love, even the title, 3 feet from gold. Those people who became rich during the gold rush in the wild, wild west days didn't do that because they were necessarily smarter or had better information than anyone else. It's because they stayed just a little bit longer. Sometimes people left when they were just literally 3 feet from gold. So hanging in there, being persistent, is step number 8. Step number 9, the power of the mastermind, the driving force. None of us can accomplish anything on our own. Everybody, I don't care who you are, from the most prominent person to the person who might be considered the lowest on the totem pole, everybody has someone who helped them get to where they are. And the power of the mastermind is being able to use those influences around us. Use the thoughts, use the knowledge, use the exploration of other people to help us in achieving our goal. Step number 10, the mystery of sex transmutation. This title can be a little confusing, but essentially what the mystery of sex transmutation means is that we oftentimes in our society think of sex as being purely physical. It is absolutely physical, but what Napoleon Hill teaches us is that sex also has an emotional element, and that sex is the strongest of our desires. That if we can take our sexual energy, transform that into positive, creative influences, it can propel us to new heights. And so we spend quite a bit of time talking about the mystery of step 10, which is sex transmutation. Step number 11 is the subconscious mind, which Napoleon Hill tells us is the connecting leap between our human mind and the infinite intelligence, the source of all thought, the source of all creativity. Conscious mind, we spent some time talking about how we use that through the influence of autosuggestion and what we're feeding into our mind. Step number 12, which is the brain, the broadcasting and receiving station of thought. Final step number 13, the sixth sense, the door to the temple of wisdom. This is the final step through which infinite intelligence may and will communicate voluntarily without any effort from or demands by the individual. The principle is the apex of the philosophy. It can be assimilated, understood, and applied only by first mastering the other 12 principles.
All right, now you have it. Now you have all 13 principles. But today we're discussing the mastermind principle. And as our co-hosts continue to come on, I want to encourage you in thinking about what is it really? What is this mastermind philosophy and how does it relate to you? You see, Napoleon Hill shares with us that there are two forces here at work. And these two characteristics that are part of this mastermind principle, again, one is the economic, but the other one is the psychic. And when we think about economic, oftentimes these are advantages that any of us can have access to. When you think about surrounding yourself with a group of individuals that are providing economic benefit to you, but you're also providing an economic benefit to them. But he also tells us that we must have harmony. And this is where the psychic part of the mastermind principle comes in. The psychic is somewhat abstract, if you will, and it's kind of difficult to comprehend, but it's there. It is the group of spiritual forces or a spiritual force at work in your mastermind group of accountability. But what we're going to do right now is share from our co hosts their experiences as they mastermind individually, collectively, and as a group. Because as a part of this program, we are a part of the International Mastermind Association. And the International Mastermind Association is designed to be a group for groups. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking about where can your group go to be held accountable, this is the place. We're going to put a link in the chat and you can connect with us if you are interested in being a part of our beta test, where we're discussing and designing and creating a world of masterminders who are in mastermind groups. If you're interested in individually masterminding, you can connect with any of our co-hosts and they can talk to you about their particular mastermind. But this particular program is for groups called IMA. But first, let's start with the way I see you on my screen. First, Galen, then Pekin, then Peter. Can you share with our audience and our listeners what's the benefit of masterminding to you? Because I do want to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mhm.
And we want all of our listeners, and we see you there, Doretha, Laverne, Teresa, all of you, Aida, all of you that's listening in. Put in your chat, whether you're on Facebook or you're on LinkedIn or you're on YouTube, whatever it is. Put in the chat your questions for our guests and our hosts and our co-hosts, and let's have a conversation as a part of this master class about the good, the bad, and the ugly of masterminding. But right now, we're going to hear from Galen.
Yeah, so for me personally, one of the biggest benefits, and I'm part of several masterminds. I'm going to quote, and Peter and I are in a mastermind together as well. And I'm going to quote one of our mastermind members, and she constantly says that from time to time, everyone needs to be reminded of who they are. And one of the key benefits that I've found from being part of so many mastermind groups is that I get to be reminded of who I say that I am. And that is always a challenge for someone who is in service to others. So it's easy for me to show up in service to other people. But then when it comes time to pursue my own goals, it's easy to forget some of those principles that I can easily share to other people, to my clients, whatever the case might be. And so the mastermind process is a great way for like-minded people to be in support of each other, especially if you've got a relationship that's lasted for months or years. You tend to know how everyone functions and how everyone functions best. And the thing that I like the most about the International Mastermind Association is that we are focused on how do you help your group be more successful? How do you help your group operate more with more fluidity? One of the things in leadership that we talk about a lot is that people often think, or companies often think, that all that really matters is the output. And leadership is something that you can get just kind of as you're doing more practical and more tangible parts of your job. Well, leadership, if you are a leader, leadership is your job. And there's a separate skill set that you need to have. There's a separate process that you need to be aware of. The same is true for running a mastermind, being part of a mastermind. There are some individual benefits that you'll get from being part of a mastermind, but running a mastermind is going to call on a different skill set, and it's not something that you can pick up as you do other parts of being part of the mastermind. And that's what this organization, this association is about: helping groups be more effective, helping groups just understand the responsibility that comes along with being in support of others in your group.
Oh, I got to jump in, and I just got to jump in. I have to jump in right now. I know you want to lead. I know you're the lead. I just got to jump in because you triggered something with me, Galen, that was, needs to be said. So there is a decision. There's two parts of masterminds, right? You as a participant and a receiver, and you as a leader and an organizer. And with that becomes two very distinct outcomes that are really, really important. And one is when you are a participant, you are growing yourself. You are really invested in ensuring that you are expanding, that you are growing. The people that are in your mastermind will call you out, will show when you're, we started with economic and psychic. When you're the participant, one is that people are saying, you're more valuable than you're charging right now. You're more valuable than you're receiving right now. What do you need to grow? And then the second part is together you create this environment where it actually feels like there's another entity, a force that comes in round and through you so you can grow. If you're the leader of the group, it becomes not about you, but about them. And what ends up happening is you had to be really clear. Are you only leading mastermind groups, but you're not in a mastermind group, so that you can receive what needs to happen? When you're leading, you're focused on organizing, making sure that people are engaged, making sure that people are involved. Who's missing is that, depending on how your mastermind is set up, there's prep work that needs to be done. And so you are not receiving, as a leader, the same economic, psychic support as you as an individual. You're receiving in terms of service, of expanding people's minds, of using your talents and your treasure sometimes to help other people. But when you take that leadership role, you're really in a space of giving. So I firmly believe that you have to be in two places. One, certainly if you're a leader, a creator, a manifester of you having a mastermind group, you definitely want to be attending the programs and courses of the International Mastermind Association so you can learn how to lead effectively. But number two, and really important, is that you have to be in one. So that's as a participant. And Peter, you and I have talked about this. I know, I can see you wiggling. So what's up?
Yeah, a lot of stuff just going through my head there, Pagina, as you're diving into what it takes and what you need to be as part of a mastermind or as you're running one. Let me go back to something I said earlier. I'd mentioned how the Bible talks about surrounding yourself with a mastermind. I talked about how Jim Rohn, business guru, talks about that as well. Going back to what Ann said earlier about the psychic part of it, right? The spiritual part of it. And let me allude to what Napoleon Hill writes in the text. He says, no two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third invisible, intangible force, which may be likened to a third mind. So if you have two people, three people, or four people, the collective nature of these individuals coming together creates another individual, talking psychic, spiritual, that allows this group, that allows this mastermind, that this connecting to grow, to elevate to a certain extent. It almost gives another perspective, another lens. So now I got to ask you, the challenge, and it's not an ask, it's actually a statement. The one thing hard about being part of a mastermind, which is why many people won't do it or have not done it, is that it takes effort. It takes intentionality. It takes you having to say, yeah, I'm going to seek this out. I'm going to speak it into the universe, and then I'm going to seek this out. And then you have to find these individuals who are like-minded. I noticed a question in the chat says, how can you choose the right people for your mastermind, right? And so you have to begin surrounding yourself with that. And it's easy to do it by yourself, which is why most won't do it. It's easy not to have to take that effort. And I'll be the first one to say, Galen, I'm sorry. Sometimes on some Sundays, I'm like, oh, I gotta do the mastermind. But when I jump into the mastermind, I'm so thankful that I've done it. I'm so grateful. And I forget that easily. It's easy to dissuade myself not to want to do it. But once I'm in it and once I'm finished with it, best thing I ever did. And that's why most people won't do it, because when you think about the effort that goes into it, it becomes a little bit challenging. It's work, right? And a lot of people don't want to dive into that process. And so Ann had asked, the good and the bad. Hey, that's the bad, Ann. Okay.
Now he said bad and he didn't say bad A. Some of you, got a little hearing problem. Let's talk about, Napoleon Hill shared a mastermind group that he was in with his mother and Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie shared a mastermind group that he was in with 50 other individuals. Can each of you share a mastermind group of accountability that you?
Now with 50. I don't have 50 people in I can't find 50. Is that what you had? You went off for a minute there, Ann, at the end there. So what was your question again?
Yeah, well, my question was, we're going to go around and have each of you share a mastermind group that you're in. And if you can share This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we've talked about the good. Can you share with us a bad experience?
I can, for sure. I I've been in a mastermind with a started with a group of four of us. It's We've been meeting for over 10 years, but now it's only two of us. And the reason was that the other members, we tried, we brought in members, but they didn't get the mastermind. They didn't want to read the book. They didn't want to understand what it was. And so they came to make it into a okay, in Yiddish, it's called kvetching. In other words, it's called it's called an itching session. Uh, and that's not what this is. That's not what it is. And so, and others that were looking to, I we talked earlier, not others that just wanted to suck up air, right? And so it took a lot of courage to say you're no longer a fit for this mastermind. And literally at one point where we just said the mastermind has ended, and then we that wanted to be together started a new one. um, and that was really painful. It was frustrating. It made me angry, and that's normal. And with masterminds, I think we have to go around. Galen, Peter, what
Wait,
about you?
before they go, I want to go back to what, thank you, Peter, for reading the question in the chat, because the Facebook person that put that question in the chat sets up this entire conversation. Because how do you choose? Now, I I call this book, right? This book, before I read it, I call it, Ann McNeil, Before Enlightenment. After I read the book in 1979, yes, December 31st, 9 p.m., yes, 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 I call it Ann McNeil After Enlightenment. So what we heard from the Queen was her mastermind group before enlightenment. That was before she connected with the Think and Grow Rich philosophy. Because in order for you to choose, what Napoleon Hill tells us, the best way to start a mastermind group is only with two individuals. And he said
Hmm.
the two of you must be in total agreement with a third. The three of you must be in total agreement with the fourth. And the four of you must be in total agreement with the fifth. Now, this is not a paid mastermind where you're getting into a mastermind, with Peter or Galen or Pekin or myself to talk about that type of mastermind. This type of mastermind is where you are aligning yourself with a group of individuals, preferably small to start, but you must have harmony. So what Peking just described was the lack of harmony because they started the group just with anybody in it. That's a part of the bad. The good comes when you immerse yourself into these principles and you understand that you have goals, they have goals. How do you serve as an accountability to each other? And always remember, iron sharpens iron, iron cannot sharpen paper. Okay, Galen, thank you.
Yeah, so an experience that I've had. Obviously, I've had a lot of great masterminds I've been a part of, but the ones that I've found that have been the most trying were those when we didn't have a definite purpose for why we were together. We got together because we liked each other, great chemistry. Hey, I like hanging out with each of you individually. Let's all hang out together. And it was good for a couple of months, but then it became just a task. It became something on the calendar. And whenever there was another commitment for any of us, we would always choose that other commitment because we weren't in agreement as to why we were together as a group. And even today, really good friends with every member of those groups individually, but we don't have a mastermind. And I think that highlights something, Ms. Ann, that I hear from you a lot. Just because you're part of a group does not make you a mastermind. And that is so easy. That's so important to clarify and so easy to get wrong because you would think, wow, I've got a lot of really cool people around me. We're all, like-minded to a certain degree. We're a mastermind group. Well, no, you really need to clarify what is our purpose? Why are we together? How do we know when we are supporting each other in the according to the mastermind principles? And how do we know when we're just getting together, for one of Pagin's venting sessions?
It's interesting, and I love how you said it, Galen. That every group that you're part of, and someone mentioned family group, have family in a mastermind group, which is so tough. You're absolutely right. Every group, every meeting that you have is not a mastermind group. So you think about it, the mastermind has to be, again, very intentional about an objective, and be working towards that objective individually, but collectively in this group. And not every group does that. So I have a good friend of mine, really, really good friend of mine. Known him since before I was in the military. We could not be in a mastermind group together. Just keeping it real with everyone, right? Just because he's like-minded with me and we think along the same wavelengths, I already know that that would not work because I know who he is. I know a little bit about him. And so, again, going back to the question about where do I find it, or who are the people and how to get people to actively participate. It's, again, there's intentionality around putting yourself in places where these people are. So full disclosure with me, I'm part of a few organizations, the International Coaching Federation, NSA, National Speaking Association, which I need to jump back into a little bit more, of which I discovered these individuals who were like-minded and could line up with this mastermind philosophy. And so now I got to ask everyone who's listening and watching, how are you going to be intentional moving forward about surrounding yourself or finding these individuals as you move forward? Because it's not just a blink and it happens. It's a process, it's intentionality, it's effort, it's moving forward.
Can I ask you a question, Anne?
Yes.
You've been in masterminds before your hair was gray. So I'd love to hear, just from your perspective, is how has your growth changed how you interact with masterminds?
Wow. That's an excellent question, Begin. And I think for many of us, when we first come in contact with this philosophy, it is very different in that you start, for me, I start with myself. I started with how much money I want. Very simple. I started with the 6 keys to riches. And that gives you the focus you need to know what you need from the group.
Mm.
See, Peter hit the nail on the head when he said that, the intentionality, the intentionality. What is it that you want, and how will that group hold you accountable? And who must you become in the process of that masterminding process? So for me, my first mastermind group had absolutely no, I knew nothing. I just knew to read the book, and I did that, and share the book, and I did that. And a few of us got together and we started meeting every single Saturday morning at 7 a.m., straight 10 years. And then each of us began to grow as we each began to set goals. First, money, of course, that's what the book talked about. But then we realized from reading, and I'll encourage all of you to read this book, phenomenal book, Success, the Glenn Bland Method. Success, the Glenn Bland Method. When we read his book, we realized he masterminded in 4 different areas. It was spiritual, family, financial, and education. So we added those 4. But over the years, we also added health, personal development, business, civic, and creativity and recreation. My point is, there's so many different areas and ways to mastermind. But as I went from that one group, then we began to form the International Mastermind Group of Accountability for all the other individuals who wanted to know what were we doing, how do they do what we're doing. And so as we began to help other people learn how to, we each began to learn the areas where we were weak. And so, even though there are 10, some mastermind groups as a part of the International Mastermind Association just take one or two areas a year to mastermind in. And for myself, I've started probably over at least 20 different mastermind groups. And then I began to realize that people don't respect what they don't pay for, Pekin. Let me say that again. People don't respect what they don't pay for. And as I began to learn how to go from a free mastermind, and as I began to grow and I help other people grow, but they helped me to grow. And I think we've already talked about it here. The work is inside of each one of us.
Mhm.
But if you're not able to take your passion and turn it into a profit, utilizing this process, let me say that again. If you're not able to take your passion and turn it into a profit with this process, then you need to check yourself. That's called the business. That's called the business. And so for me on this journey for over 40 years, Pekin, and great question, I am learning that first I must learn to do before I can teach.
Mhm.
You see, Jim Rohn talks about his mentor told him, make $1 million in your business, not for the money, but for who you must become. To me, that is the benefit and the power of this mastermind process for those of us who want to make money. Make $1 million in your mastermind group, not for the money, but who you must become in order to learn how to do that. Then you can teach that. Same thing in business. So, what I'd like to do is make sure we go around to our guests who are chiming in, Wyman, so many people. And then there's a question here that says, when people pay, oh, yes, Les Brown. Les Brown, that's another conversation. I am, a lot of people don't realize that I am the master mind motivator to the master motivator, Les Brown. Les Brown and I have known each other for over 45 years. And so we talk about who are you aligning yourself with as a part of Mastermind D. And so when you go back 45 years for him, yes, he was right on the back of that truck. He was on that radio show. People don't know that Les Brown. But when you collect like minds and like spirits, so Les, myself, and a few others just began to read and communicate and connect. Now, when you look at each one of us, we're in our own areas of influence, but as a mastermind group of accountability, don't talk about it much. But when you think about the fact that, and he says this, when people pay more, they pay more attention. We don't respect what we don't pay for. And so, whatever you decide to do as a part of your own mastermind group of accountability, for all of you that's interested in a mastermind or starting one, our desire here is to create a place where you can come for your group to get best practices as a part of our International Mastermind Association. And we're gonna put this in the chat. The International Mastermind Association, we're hosting a beta test. So we're gonna share with you this link, and we're gonna put it on YouTube, and we're gonna put it on Facebook. And you can go to the International Masterminders Associate, internationalmasterminders.com, internationalmasterminders.com /group mastermind. And you can just share with us your information, and we will send you a private invitation to join the beta test group. This is a free group, but you need to already be in a group. You need to already be in a group. So what I'd like to do now is I have go back to our co-host, and if you can share, again, a benefit, a major benefit from your mastermind group, and then we'll go around to everybody else. Thanks.
Well, I'll say the major benefit of so from an individual piece and then leading the individual piece. I am not the same person I was. I love what you shared about your story with Les. I've been in mastermind group since I've been 23 years old, and not the same person I was. Not the same person at all. Grown, expanded, uh, dived in. From a leadership perspective of leading, I lead 3, 4 masterminds. where people pay to be in, what I've seen is the growth of people, the growth of their income, their growth of their mind, the growth of their mindset. So as a leader, it's the joy of seeing people flourish using something that you know really, really well, the power of mastermind. So those are two things that I've absolutely have walked away. I couldn't be who I am had it not been for masterminding and had it not been coming back for accountability through the Think and Grow Rich process. So those are two things. How about you, Galen?
Yeah. So for me, there's a one of my favorite phrases that I'm using more and more is that growth rarely comes in comfortable places. And I'm going to say that again. Growth rarely comes in comfortable places. And so one of the things that I have really seen with Mastermind is that you get the opportunity to make your co-members uncomfortable in pursuit of this goal that you know that they have. And in the mastermind that Peter and I have with another person, we rotate coaching each other because we're all professional executive coaches, and we rotate coaching each other, and we call it the hot seat. And our focus during that conversation is really challenging one of our members to do that thing that's going to make them a little uncomfortable, but we know it's going to be in pursuit of this thing that they keep saying that they want to do. And that's where the real growth comes. And I'm going to tell you, tell a little bit on myself. I get really, really bold when it's my time to coach someone else. Right. And I usually preface all of my coaching with, now, you can't say this to me when it's my time because I know that this is what's needed, but it's uncomfortable. Right. And so that's what the benefit is, that you get to challenge people to step outside of their comfort zone in pursuit of this thing that you know will help them accomplish what they continue to say that they want to do. And I'll give you another example, and I'm going to tell on my mastermind member, Dr. Peter. The last time we had a session, I think I even said to Dr. Peter, give me confidence that we're not going to be talking about this thing 3 weeks from now, right? Give me confidence that you're actually going to take these steps. And I think, again, I prefaced it, when it's my time, you can't say that to me because that's kind of uncomfortable. How does that help you, Peter?
Yeah, just to let you know there, Galen, you're on the hot seat this week for sure. So, but I tell you, it's interesting. Even in that scenario that Galen just described, I didn't come to that hot seat conversation or that mastermind conversation with something necessarily to talk about. I kind of just wanted to kind of just talk about what I was doing with the business a little bit. But my mastermind colleagues went in on me, right? And why they had permission to go in on me. We're in this mastermind group, and their coaches, so they went in on and pull back layers of me, again, to Galen's credit, allowing me to feel uncomfortable, allowing me to get to that space where I needed to go to so that I could grow, so that I could help get to my next level, so that I can identify or remind myself what my goals are in order to get there and move forward. How about this one also? Reminding me of what I said a year ago, right? Because we have a tendency to forget, put stuff out there and then not follow through with it. And that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And again, I'm asking everybody who's in the chat, everybody who's listening, who is that for you? Right? Who is that for you? And that's the success that I get. And I tell you, that's why it's uncomfortable sometimes going into these, because you're like, oh my goodness, I don't know. I was feeling that pit in your stomach, just, yeah. But there's nothing else like it when you have a great mastermind group, I have to admit. And I'm sitting here and I'm pausing as I'm saying that, because I'm thinking about what's on that level, maybe having a coach. But even with that, now I got multiples who are being able to see things from a different lens. And I think that's the beauty of this entire process, is that Everyone also often has different backgrounds, different upbringings, and you're bringing that to the table because I respect their diversity, and now I want them to bring their lens to what my goals are as well.
I think that this is a great place for us to uh, let people know who you are, what you do, and how they can connect with you. Thank you, Dr. Rubin, for those comments. Charles, Carrie, thank you, everybody chiming in the chat. Thank you so very much for those awesome thoughts and gems, if you will. But let everybody know how they can connect with you. And then we're going to talk about the International Mastermind Association, because I think that the annual meeting that we host is so very powerful. And for those individuals who want more and you want to be held accountable at a different level, everybody does not want to be held accountable. But if you're interested in being held at another level, we're going to go around and we'll go to you last, Peter, but Galen and then Pekin, if you can share how people can connect with you, and then Peter, and as you share, Peter, if you can share the benefits of attending the annual meeting for IMA. Thank you.
Yeah, so my name is Galen Bingham. You can get a hold of me by typing in Galen Bingham almost on any platform: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, you name it. The most fun way to get a hold of me, though, is by going to any podcast platform and typing in the name of my brand new podcast, Whiskey, Jazz, and Leadership. We share real talk that you can't find anywhere else. We've interviewed some of the premier leaders in the country. We've talked to coaches, we've talked to restaurant leaders, we've talked to international speakers, we've talked to people that you've heard of and people that you should hear about. And they all come together to try to give you insight on how to either be a successful leader or to live your life more successfully. I double dog dare you to check us out just once on any platform where you get your podcasts.
King.
And I'm gonna say the best way to reach me is to do Pegine, Pegine, or go to Power Women Worldwide. Either one, you're gonna find me. But you, just like Galen, you just type Pegine. And if you want to ensure that you are motivated and inspired, that you have the words and the wisdom, the wake up call to be able to feel like you are in a power place, you want to join my new podcast group. It's a paid podcast called Pegine, Pegine .club, which is an experience of daily bits bursting with brilliance to help you with confidence, leadership, business, sales, prosperity, and motivation. And I look forward to being in your ears on a daily basis at Pegine.club. So grateful to be here. And of course, Peter, where are we going to find you?
Everywhere, Pagine, everywhere. You can find me on any media platform at Dr. Peter A. James. That's at DrPeterAJames, or at shiftyourmindset.com. I'd love to connect with any of you, have a conversation around masterminds, or even just a conversation about coaching or whatever that may look like. But as we wrap up this conversation today and talk about the power of masterminds and the power of surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, it's important for all of us, if we have goals, if we have objectives, if we have a next level that we're looking to achieve, for that matter. And here at the International Mastermind Association, we also have an annual meeting, which I'm so looking forward to, because I'm already starting my annual planning, my planning for 2022. But those of you who maybe want to take the next step into this mastermind world, January 7th through 8th, Boca Raton, Florida. As my colleague will say, I double dog dare you, Galen, to come on in and join in this annual accountability meeting, which we'll make sure we put the links in the chat. This is a great opportunity to reflect on where you've come on your journey, but also plan for this upcoming year and the future, your future, and not just financials or business, but in multiple categories in your life, to be able to really plan out what you're desiring to accomplish. And listen, We all need that. We all need that intentionality in our lives. Again, most of us don't do it because it's easy not to. It's easier not to. But I will say that those individuals who have experienced great levels of success, they have done stuff like what we're talking about today: masterminds, accountability, surrounding themselves with like-minded individuals. They've done all that. And if you desire to achieve any level of success in your life, no matter what area it is, we got to ask you, who is helping to hold you accountable? And if there's nobody, maybe this meeting on January 7th and 8th may be for you.
And let's talk about the kids. Please bring your family. We
Yes,
talked
this
about,
is a family event for
yeah,
sure. My daughter will be there.
well,
My
your
wife
daughter's
will
a
be
star.
there. I'm
She's a
asking other
star.
family members to come. Anne's always telling me stuff about my daughter that I don't know about. I have to start asking her about for sure. So
Your daughter's a star every Sunday with all of our kids. And for those who are listening, I think it was Doretha put something in the chat. She said, a family mastermind is really tough. I don't think it's as tough as if we use the principles. Read the book with your family, one chapter a month, one chapter a year, one principle at a time. For me, I've built 5 businesses from this mastermind philosophy. But what I'd like to help us remember is that it depends on what you want. What is it that you want? And put that in the chat. Let's hear from Begin. What is it that you want?
Wait a minute. So everybody that's listening to Anne right now, let's just, I just need to let you know. She said the way she presents it as though, you're just going to go and talk to the family. No, this woman, what she did, let me just be clear. This is the children's book she read to her children from the time they were infants. This is the book that her daughters read to her children. They, instead of uh, Goldilocks, they're reading this book. So don't let her get slick that she thinks that she just didn't do it. This is embedded in, and because of this is why I know that that's what I'm going to be reading to if I ever have grandchildren, my grandchildren. But I am reading it to my nieces and nephews. So sorry, what was the question that you asked? And I just need to call you
But
out on that.
I think you did well. You did well. I just want to and thank you because last time you showed my book, so I figured I would show it myself. This is one of the books that I wrote
I
called
have
How
it.
to Start and Run a Successful Mastermind Group. And Fakin has the workbook. And thank you so much for Fakin. We all talk about the fact that we can support each other better than we can support ourselves when it comes to okay, Fakin, the McNeil Factor workbook. And is how to start and run a mastermind group. And I share that because it was very difficult, and Fakin was on this journey with me. It was very difficult for me to make the transition from what I know and how do I share what I know. And I think this is for all of us. It is, when you have a test, they call it a testimony, it's really not for you, it is for others to learn through you as you go to whatever it is you're aspiring to achieve. And so for me, when I started this process, I was broke and broken in 1979. And I had no possible way of understanding how to. And so this journey has created a process. Every single one of us on this call has a process. The game was sharing before the show, the process that she's creating and has created to share. But it's for the benefit of all of you. So just be mindful. You can do anything you desire inside of the Mastermind Accountability Group. So, Peter, Galen, we have a couple of minutes left. We're going to wrap up by having each of you share one takeaway from today, and then we're going to say, have our audience to join us next week with Miss Yolanda Phillips Lee. So, one takeaway each of you from today.
yeah, I'll jump in first. Quite a little bit of stuff. And I actually wrote down that quote that you had mentioned earlier in there, and I'll read it back to everyone. You can utilizing this process, this Think and Grow Rich process, you could take your passion and turn it into profit utilizing this process. I'll say that again. You could take your passion and turn it into profit utilizing this process. And so now, I have been working through a lot of goals and strategies and changes in my career and my business. But one of the things I've been really reflecting on these last couple of weeks is how do I stop working harder and work smarter, more effectively, and more efficiently? So that's part of my goals as I move forward with my mastermind group to uncover that, to peel back those layers in my life. And listen, it's easy for me to work hard. I'll stay up all night in a heartbeat, but that's not, you can't, that's not sustainable. That's the word I was looking for. It's not sustainable. So that's part of my goals. I went a little bit deep there too. Galen, what's yours, man?
Yeah, the thing I was thinking about was really this question of would you continue to be part of a group that was not feeding you, that you felt it was stagnant, your growth was stagnant? Would you continue to pay the membership to be part of a group that you weren't getting fed from? And so that's the question that I think we all struggle with from time to time. Well, this association is about, as a leader, how do you take responsibility for making sure that your group is not stagnant, that your group is achieving its economic or psychic goals? Because that becomes your responsibility if you are the leader of the group. I don't know of many other places that will feed group leaders and feed groups to make sure that the group is growing. There are a lot of places I can go to get individual nourishment, but this is the only place I know of where you can get group nourishment.
Mm.
Pegeen?
I, I'm just doing this. I look like one of those dogs in the back of the car as you're sharing and saying. So here's the things that I learned from this. One, as leaders, you grow when you're in a mastermind. Two, as leaders, you grow others by leading a mastermind. And three, that you attract individuals into your mastermind when you're clear about why you want a mastermind. And that you have a responsibility to hold yourself accountable to create it and to hold those who are in the mastermind accountable to them to create their dreams. And that's what I got today.
Wow. I want to share that when Galen was talking, the thought came to mind: the speed of the leader is the speed of the group. The speed of the leader is the speed of the group. And if you are in a group and you are the leader and it's stagnant, check yourself. One of
Mm-hmm.
the most challenging jobs I've ever had is leading anybody that is a mirror back to my soul of who I am. That is one of the toughest jobs I am experiencing. And so, as the founder of the International Mastermind Association, as the founder and president of MCO Construction, as the first Black female contractor in the state of Florida, operating at the level that we do, hosting $1 billion luncheon per month by industry, as the founder and president of MCO Consulting, where I do outreach monitoring and compliance for public traded firms, the top 100 in my space, helping them to be compliant. And also as the president and owner of Constructivist Speaking, where I speak to share to help increase the profitability of entrepreneurial women to get greater clarity in their highest income producing areas of their business and their lives. And equally as important, as the founder and chair of the National Association of Black Women in Construction. And right now we're in over 15 cities. Every day, every day, every single day, I have to do the inner work on myself. And that inner work has created many books, many systems, and many processes. And what I'd like to encourage each and every one of you, challenge yourself. Are you really, 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 really willing to do the inner work? Not to talk about my family, not to talk about the better investing experiences when I started investing because I was so broken, and I just had lots of money, literally $500,000 taken out of my account. Yes. And homeless. Yes, that's another story for another program. My point is this: there are no excuses. It doesn't matter what challenges, struggles, trials, and tribulations you're going through or have gone through. You have the answer in a mastermind group of accountability. It doesn't matter how broke or broken you are, how penniless you are. Listen to Steve Harvey and many of the other individuals that many of us follow, from Les Brown to Carnegie to Hill. It does not matter. What matters most is, what do you desire? That's the first principle. Join us next week as we talk about the next principle with Miss Yolanda Phillips Lee. My name is Ann McMillan. I am the master builder, helping you to build a stronger and better life and business with this principle called the Mastermind Principle. And if you'd like to connect with me, you can go to annmcmill.com/coaching. And until then, all of our co hosts, we're going to say good day, wave, see you later, whatever. Whatever language you want to say it in. And we love all of you who chime in every single week as we share with you and as you share with us. And until next week, have a good day. Thank you.